Welcome back to Inside Number 23, my channel which is all about knitting and sewing and generally living the craftiest life possible. My name is Katie and you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media as Miss Lovelli, and you can also find a Ravelry group for the podcast if you just go over and search on the groups tab Inside Number 23. That will bring you to the podcast group and you can find there all of the show notes for the podcast, information about cows and giveaways and all of that good stuff. I'm coming to you, as always, from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London in the UK, where I live with my husband Emrys and the lovely, gorgeous pug puppy Rolly, whose birthday it is today. He is 2 today, so I feel like a very, very proud mummy. But it's actually super, super hot here today as well. It's been up to about 28 degrees over the last couple of days, which I know for a lot of people isn't that hot, but for here in the UK, it really, really is quite warm, so I'm avoiding the heat as much as possible, as is my preference. I'm not a very summer type person. I'm much more a spring, autumn, winter type person, but luckily in the UK we don't get that much hot weather, so I just have to grin and bear it in the meantime. If you want to get in touch with me regarding anything about the podcast, the best way to do so is via my email address, which is katie@insidenumber23.com. If you drop me an email, please don't expect an instant reply. It takes me a while to get through my messages, but it shouldn't be the longest time in the world until I get back to you. Fingers crossed. I'm desperately trying to stay on top of my emails now. It's been a very, very busy week inside Number 23 this week. I'm not going to lie, it's felt a little bit hectic and there hasn't really been a huge amount of time for crafting, which is a shame, but I nonetheless have an absolutely jam-packed episode for you this week. It may not be full to the brim with my own crafty pursuits, as I'm kind of saying I haven't got a huge amount done, but I have got a lot of good things to share with you. I'm going to start off with a little bit of administrative stuff. In terms of the Harry Potter Cal, I am hosting the Harry Potter Cal on this channel throughout 2017. It's a year-long knit-along and I draw prize winners at the end of each month. So May's prize is going to be drawn in next week's episode. So you still have time to get your entries in, so please, please do. And I just wanted to share with you what you stand the chance of winning. A lot of you are going to remember this prize. This is a beautiful sock set of yarn which was donated to us from Sinister Yarns. There is the label. I love this. This colourway is called Come Seek Us Where Our Voices Sound. It's a 80/20 superwash merino nylon blend and it is glorious. So get your finished objects posted in the finished object thread on my Ravelry group and you could stand the chance of winning this glorious skein of yarn. And believe me guys, this is gorgeous. You are going to want to get your hands on this, so come on, what are you waiting for? Also, a little bit later on in this week's episode, very excitingly, I have a really amazing giveaway for you guys. So stay tuned for that towards the end of the episode. Honestly, I'm so excited about this giveaway, I can't even tell you. But we've got a lot of other things to get through first. Because we have quite a lot of stuff to get through this week, I am going to jump straight in with what am I wearing? And yes, despite the heat outside, I am still wearing a knitted garment today. I just love my knitted clothes and it really annoys me when it gets too hot for me to wear them, so I'm hanging on as long as physically possible. And today I am wearing my Featherweight cardigan. I love this cardigan. It's knit using Voolenvine yarns, which is an incredible dye company by my good friend Trysten. This is her Gashley Crumb colourway and it's her Volca base, which is an MCN base, merino cashmere and nylon. Kind of down below, I'm not going to stand up for you this week, but I am wearing my Hollyburn skirt, my denim Hollyburn skirt, which has been getting a lot of wear over this past month. In case you've missed what's going on my Instagram, I am taking part in Me Made May. This month I am trying to wear at least one handmade item every single day, and I've been posting outfits on Instagram, so you will know that the Hollyburn skirt has been getting a lot of wear over this last month. I desperately need more than just the one skirt. I think what Me Made May is really bringing into light is the type of things that I tend to wear on a day-to-day basis, and the things that are really a little bit lacking in my current Me Made wardrobe. But it's exciting. It gives me the opportunity to plan for the future with a very kind of clear, concise goal in mind, which is great. But yes, at the moment, 2 Me Made items today, my Featherweight cardigan and my Hollyburn skirt, and these really are go-to items for me. They make me very, very happy. So yeah. Moving on from looking at me and what I'm wearing, I want to talk a little bit about Owl Post. Little owlings. The owlings have been busy this week, you guys. They have been busy, and what I'm going to share with you just now is not everything that has arrived in the post over the past week. These are all very kind donations from makers that I have received, really, really generously donated to the podcast, and so that's what my Owl Post segment is going to be. I was also going to be including a stash enhancement segment this week, but there's just not going to be space with everything else that I'm wanting to kind of squeeze into this week's jam-packed episode. So I'll be sharing with you some lovely bits and pieces that I have myself purchased in next week's episode. A lot of good stuff going into next week's episode so far, but I've got some really, really gorgeous things to share with you for Owl Post. The first little bit of loveliness that the owls popped through my letterbox this week was a parcel from my friend Om, who I actually met at Edinburgh Yarn Festival this year, but I have been in touch with her previous to that because she sent a prize before for the last time we did the Harry Potter cowl. But completely out of the blue, she surprised me this week with the sweetest gift, and I just had to share it with you guys. She has her own Etsy shop, which is handdrawnyarn.etsy.com, and she sells lots of beautiful little gifts. She's also started selling hand-dyed yarn, which is just beautiful, but she sent to me one of these little mini skein bookmarks. Isn't this adorable? Look at how sweet. It's all on this big kind of paper clip, but you can use this as a bookmark. She suggested that I use it in my bullet journal, but I'm thinking that I'm actually probably going to use it in my knitting journal to keep that up to date. I think it's gorgeous. It's so sweet and well made, and it just really, really makes me happy looking at it. I think it's adorable. So thank you so much, Om, and definitely go and check out her shop, you guys, to check out all of her lovely bits and pieces. The next parcel that arrived, I was expecting the lovely ladies of the Girls in the Yarn Cafe, which is a podcast on YouTube. Go check it out, you guys. I will of course include the links down below. Got in touch and wanted to send me some goodies and also some prizes for the podcast, which was so generous of them. And the parcel arrived this week, but I wasn't quite anticipating just how full to the brim with gorgeousness this parcel was going to be. So like I said, the Girls in the Yarn Cafe is the podcast. It's a mother and daughter podcast, and it's Christy and Trysten who do this podcast, but both of them also hand dye yarn. I mean, you couldn't really get a more talented pair of ladies, to be perfectly honest. Christy's company is Yarn Cafe Creations, which I believe must be where the name for the podcast comes from, and Trysten's company is called Dragon Horde Yarn, and they both sent me this just incredible array of gorgeousness. I'm going to start off with, first of all, what Christy sent for me. And of course, her company is Yarn Cafe Creations. And let me first of all show you what she sent me. Can you even handle how incredible these yarns are? Oh my goodness. These are just... I mean, the colours. Starting off with this one, this is Forest Nymph, and it is the full-bodied sock base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend. And just look at these colours. We have this beautiful kind of mauvey purple, but in there all of these kind of speckles, woodland colours. So we've got greens and orange in there. I think this is glorious. This is right up my alley in terms of colourways. It's just beautiful, and it's super squidgy. It's really, really pleasant to kind of grab. The other one is Toadstool, My goodness me. And this is the fluffy sock base, and you can feel a difference between the two bases. This one is a lot more squidgy. There's a huge amount of squidge factor in this one. These colours. I love that little pop of hot pink next to the vibrant greens, and there's orange in there. Oh, this is lovely. This is going to make the most incredible pair of socks, I think. But on top of that, she also included a skein of yarn for you lovely folks. I'm going to leave it in the plastic because I want it all nice and wrapped up for you, but look at this. This colourway is called Selkie, and again, it's on the fluffy sock base, so it's on that lovely squidgy base. And these colours, oh my goodness, it's mostly kind of natural with a very, very faint over dye, but it has these teals and again a sort of mauvey, burgundy, orange. It's absolutely gorgeous. But yes, thank you so much, Christy. I think that your yarn is beautiful. I can't believe how generous you were in sending it to me, and just thank you for sharing your artistic brilliance with me and my lovely podcast viewers. But obviously, in the same parcel as Christy's yarn was yarn from Trysten as well. Just spoiled rotten, absolutely spoiled rotten. Now, Trysten sent me 3 skeins of yarn as well, and has said that I can pick any of these yarns that I want to keep, and then that one can go into a giveaway. And I must admit, I am completely floored, mostly because these are so beautiful, but also I don't know if I'll be able to pick, because I love all of them. I think that they're wonderful. But let me start off with this one, Harry Potter themed, which obviously makes me super happy. This is Molly Weasley. You can see Dragon Hoard Yarns label there, and look at the colours in this. Oh, mustardy yellows and greens, some of my favourites, pinks and blues and speckledy goodness. The other 2 colours, there's one in here that I'm pretty much convinced I'm going to be keeping, which is this one on the left, a little bit of neon green going on in there, and I'm a sucker for neon at the moment. So this is Skelly Grow, but this one here is Trelawney, named after Professor Trelawney, obviously. And if I can just show you here at the back, look at those colours. Oh my word, they are incredible. That's just a whole ton of happiness in a bag, isn't it? I absolutely adore these. I think that they are very, very well named for the colourways that have been created, and I love the Harry Potterness of them. So thank you so much, Trysten. Thank you to both of you ladies. Definitely check out both of their shops. Check out their podcast on YouTube. As I said, I'm going to be putting all of the links down below, so do go and show them some love. And again, just thank you so much for your generosity and for sending a little bit of love my way. It is so, so appreciated. The owls brought me one more little bit of joy this week. And when I say little bit of joy, it wasn't a little bit of joy. It was a really, really big hunking chunk of joy that arrived in the post, and it was from lovely Laura of Tiny Human Knits. Now, I was aware of Laura from Instagram. I've seen her posts pop up quite a bit on Instagram. She has a beautiful feed. You should totally check her out there. But she also has an Etsy shop in which she sells some of the most beautiful little bags and notions and gorgeousness. She is one talented lady. She has also recently started a podcast on YouTube, which I would encourage you to go and check out. Links, as I've said repeatedly so in this episode, will be down below in my show notes. But in terms of what she sent me, I really am a little bit overwhelmed because it is such a gorgeous selection of goodies that I can't even handle it. She has me down to a T, that's for sure. I'm not even sure which part to show you first because they're both so lovely. I'm going to show you the little notions pouch she sent. Now, I'm not going to lie, you guys. Laura did say that if I wanted to, I can keep this notions pouch, and I still haven't decided whether or not to keep it. I want to keep it very, very badly because it is beautiful, but I know it'd be more generous for me to give this to one of you guys. So I'm battling with my inner demons of wanting to be selfish and wanting to be generous. So we are yet undecided on this, but look at this. This is cross-stitched. It says Knit Notions, and I mean, the amount of time and love and effort that's been put into this, it's gorgeous. It also has the cutest little kind of safety pin in the zip, which is full of stitch markers and progress keepers all up here. The back is this beautiful floral print, and in every way it is just gorgeous. It's so pretty and lovely, and I want it for my own, but I will probably end up putting it into a giveaway at some point because I want to spread that love out into the world, but I will be so jealous because I think it's gorgeous. But she did also include something specifically for me, which does cushion the blow of losing the Notions pouch just a little bit, a lot in fact, because this is so special. She cross-stitched me the Hufflepuff crest. Oh my goodness. For those of you who don't know, I'm a very, very proud Hufflepuff, and this just made me almost weep with joy at how beautiful it is. I mean, the detail in that is insane. It's gorgeous. It also has little THK on the bottom, tiny human knits. The back is tartan. I love tartan. And also on the zip, there's a little progress keeper. It's a little ceramic owl, which is very appropriate for anything Harry Potter themed. Also on this side, we have a little clip, which is perfect for keeping progress keepers and stitch markers and all of that good stuff. I love it when this type of thing is included on a project bag. It's such a lovely touch to an already stunning bag, and I just absolutely love this. Thank you so much, Laura. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, this brings me so much joy. Look at the little badger face. I love it. It's utterly beautiful. So thank you so much, and definitely go and check out her shop, you guys, which is absolutely full of just beautiful cross-stitched gorgeousness. I told you those owls had been busy. My goodness, they're going to need refueling after their multiple visits to my house over the last week. But moving on from Owl Post, let's talk about what's on my needles. And as I hinted, there's not been a huge amount on my needles this week, even less so than last week, unfortunately. I mean, I feel a little bit disappointed in myself. I had wanted to finish a lot of projects, but my headspace has been very all over the place, shall we say, again over the last week. So for the sake of my own sanity, really, I have just been spending time working on one project, and you're going to know straight away what that project is. It's not garments, it's not socks, it's the Cozy Memories blanket. This blanket has been my saviour over the past week. Again, things are all a bit up in the air in our personal lives right now, and I just haven't had the inclination to pick up anything complicated. I just want mindless knitting that puts me into a more meditative state and yet still brings me a huge amount of joy, and that is basically what the Cozy Memories blanket is. I do have a Ravelry project page for this blanket if you want to know the specifics as to which pattern I use, which needle I use, even which decrease that I use, how many stitches I use. So I would very much recommend that you head over to my project page and find that if you have any questions about construction. But I have added a large amount of squares onto this blanket this week. I've also been using a lot of favourite yarns to myself. I've pretty much used up all of my Voolenvine mini skeins in here. Just a couple that I've added this week. This one was given to me by Trysten. This was the Outlander yarn in Volca base, a merino cashmere nylon base that I used for a shawl. Next to it, this is Festival of Lights, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but this is actually a Jinx yarn that Trysten sent me. Also, look what we have here. It's Gashley Crumb. I've just really enjoyed taking a few minutes in the morning and the evening just to add maybe 1 or 2 squares onto this blanket. When everything seems to be getting a little bit intense, it's really made me want to have a complete zone out when it comes to my creativity. I want to be creative, I really do, but I just haven't had the ability to do anything more than pop squares onto this blanket. The other thing that I really want to do is start new projects. That's the other calling that I'm currently having, but I'm trying to repress that a little bit because I have so many works in progress at the moment in terms of garments and pairs of socks that have been on the needles for a very long time. So ploughing all of my energy into this blanket has been very satisfying because this is probably one of my longest works in progress that I've had, because I've been, you know, knitting on this since pretty much since I started the podcast. So getting towards finishing it, which it genuinely feels like I am now, is really satisfying. Plus, it gives me the excitement of picking up different kinds of yarns. For example, I've had a lot of singles yarn in this, which I've never really used before in my own personal projects. But having little kind of pockets, tiny little pockets of singles yarn has made me really happy. So that's something that I never knew before I started working on this again. It genuinely is the thing that I reach for every day. It's been my constant companion. It's been my little bit of solace in a slightly difficult month, as it's turned out to be. And yeah, I love it so much. I'm sorry it's not more interesting for you. I think, you know, seeing that, oh, she's added more squares onto her blanket must be like, why aren't you doing anything more interesting? But sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, you guys. You can't always be innovative and exciting. Sometimes you just need to put some squares onto a blanket and it makes you happy. So yeah, can you believe that's it for what's on my needles this week? I can't really. That's probably the smallest what's on my needle segment I've had since the very beginning of this podcast. Wowie. But in contrast, I do have something a little bit more exciting to share with you in my next segment, which is So What? Because I'm still loving sewing so much. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Me Made May has reawakened the sewing bug within me in quite a profound way. So much so that I did spend a good half an hour this morning going through my wardrobe and removing pretty much every ready-to-wear item that I had left in my wardrobe. I'm getting to the point where I don't want to rely on ready-to-wear any longer. I want to have a Me Made wardrobe. But putting that to one side just for a moment, I've got a finished object this week. And in case you can't tell from the glee on my face, because I was so excited when I showed you the first half of this finished object, now that the entire thing is finished, you can probably understand why I am getting more and more excited. It's just there out of shot and I'm gonna grab it so I can show it to you. Do you remember these? My space pants. Okay. These are pajamas. They are made from the Carolyn pattern, which is a Closet Case Patterns pattern. It can be long sleeved or short sleeved. I opted for short sleeves as we're going into summer. And the last thing that I showed you was that I had finished my little shorts. They have pockets in them. They have piping along the bottom. They have a little faux fly front, which is really cute because I didn't realise that you were supposed to take out the basting stitches here, but there's a little bit of movement in the fly as well, which I think is really quite adorable. But yeah, my space pants and how excited I was about them. You better hang on to your hats, guys and girls, because I have finished the shirt. And here it is. This is the shirt. It's short sleeved and gorgeous and amazing. Much like the shorts, the shirt has a lot of piping detail on it, which I am obsessed with. I have piping detail around the cuffs, little red bits here. It's also fully piped around the entirety of the collar and the front of the shirt. So I can actually show you the whole journey of the piping if you want. Do you want to see? You might not, but I'm going to show you anyway. It starts here. It goes all the way around the shirt. There it is. Then it goes around the collar. It goes around the other side. And it then goes down the front of the shirt, but I can't show that to you because I've got the shirt closed at the moment. I'm so happy with this. It was a little bit more complicated than I thought. The collar construction is a little bit tricky, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. You can see it looks really, really nicely kind of balanced. Looks a little bit wonky at the moment because it's not closed properly, but it's everything I ever wanted and more in a pair of pajamas. I'm so happy with it. It also has a little pocket detailing on the front, which I showed you last time. I believe the last time I showed you this, it was half constructed in terms of the shirt. So I had done one of the fronts, but I hadn't done the second with the facing and everything. I'm just going to unbutton this so I can show you in a little bit more detail how everything's looking on the inside, because I'm one of those people who just really loves the insides of garments just as much as the outside. So these are my facings. As you can see, they're all really nicely finished, if I do say so myself. I'm really pleased. I'm really happy with how this all turned out. Those facings are sewn to the seams of the shoulders. You kind of stitch in the ditch from the outside. So basically you stitch into this seam, which gives you a little hidden line of stitches to tack down that facing. And yeah, it's top stitched all the way along around the piping to keep the piping in place. It's got a very narrow little hem on the shirt, so not much bulk involved there. Also, all of my internal seams have been serged. I'm so proud of how this turned out. I genuinely am, and it did take a little longer than I would have really wanted for a pair of pajamas, because technically the only people who are really going to be seeing these pajamas are me and Emrys, really. Unless some people want to come over for a slumber party, and then I'll totally wear these pajamas. But the finished article is so beautiful and everything fits into it so well that I think it's worth it. I think it's worth spending that extra little bit of time to get them looking really, really perfect. And I'm thrilled with them. There are 5 buttons that are sewn on as well. That was the kind of finishing touch. I chose these red kind of plastic, almost shiny, sparkly, not sparkly, but very shiny buttons, because I thought they went well with the kind of spacey style of the pajamas. I used my sewing machine to sew all of the buttonholes. I don't really have a huge amount more that I can say about these pajamas other than the fact that I loved every second of them. There were challenges in this pattern. It's definitely not for a super beginner sewist. If you've never really sewn anything before, this is probably going to feel a little bit overwhelming. But the pattern is so well written that I think, to be honest, even if you've only ever made a few garments before, if you just take it slowly and follow it through step by step, you won't really run into that much difficulty. I will definitely be using this pattern again. At the very least, I want to make a pair of flannel pajamas for the winter. I do tend to live in more flannelly pajamas when it gets cold, but I would love to get a couple more of the short ones as well. Perhaps have interchangeable shirts with long trousers, so both short and long sleeved. I can see myself using this for a lot of pajamas because it really is a shape that appeals to me on very, very many levels. I think it's gorgeous. Plus this fabric has been in my stash for the longest time, and for it to finally have been released out into the wild and be a garment just feels like a massive achievement. It's been really hard for me this last week having this hanging on my wardrobe, because when I have finished a hand sewn garment, I hang them on the front of my wardrobe before I share them on the podcast, so I don't wear them that much. Sometimes I wear them, but I like to keep them nice before I show them to you guys. But now I can wear these. I'm gonna wear these tonight. I'm totally gonna wear these tonight. I had hoped that I would be able to get some video footage of me wearing these pajamas. I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. Things have been a little bit intense, but as soon as I can, I will actually take some pictures. I'll probably share them on Instagram, so keep your eye out for those. But one thing that I am hoping to do in the near future is almost a little mini fashion show of some of the me-made items that I have created over the past it's nearly 6 months. We're nearly halfway through the year. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think that would be a really fun thing to do. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in seeing. I think a lot of the time it's really fun to see these kind of items on a person and how they fit. And yeah, I love them. So happy with them. Another 2 things for my Me Made May. My goal was to make 4 different items of clothing, and technically because this is shorts and a top, it's 2. Plus I also have my Cleo dress that I finished earlier this month, so happy days. Happy, happy, happy days. I love these so much, in case you hadn't noticed. Now guys, do you remember when at the beginning of this episode I hinted that there was going to be an extra special, exciting giveaway towards the end of the episode? It's time. It's time! Because my next segment is reviewing the situation. I have had the utter pleasure to be sent a copy of the newest edition of Pom Pom Quarterly to review this week. Ta-da! This is issue 21 of Pom Pom Quarterly, the incredible knitting magazine, which I'm sure you have all heard of, because if you haven't, you must have been living under a rock for quite a long time in terms of the knitting world, because this magazine is everything. This volume, the anniversary edition, which I've left their little kind of wrap on because I thought it looked so pretty, really is a testament to how many people love this magazine, how much time and effort has been put into it by so many people over the past 5 years. I genuinely think that this volume is such a lovely celebration of that journey. Plus it's beautiful. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but that is the most beautiful metallic print. I don't know if you would call it copper or rose gold, but I think rose gold is pretty trendy right now, so we're going to call it rose gold, because Pom Pom is nothing if not cool. I'm sure that the majority of you have probably come across an edition of Pom Pom magazine before. In case you haven't, it's an incredible selection of different patterns combined with articles, beautiful illustration, and it always includes a recipe as well. The recipe in this one is a birthday cake. It just so happens to use peach jam and meringue topping, and it looks amazing and I want to make it. I mean, you can tell before we even get started that I'm already enamored with this magazine. This anniversary edition is a lot more hefty than the regular Pom Pom. They put a lot of extra work into this to make it a bumper edition to celebrate 5 years, and it is bursting with gorgeousness. I have read this cover to cover, and guys, it's just wonderful. It's great. But without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about what's included in this magazine. As I said, it's more than just patterns. There are several articles in here. There's some gorgeous illustrations at the back by Katie Green, who is actually featured in, I believe, every edition of Pom Pom magazine so far. It's gorgeous. This is all about Samite, the new yarn from Blacker Yarns, and oh, it's amazing. Obviously, there are patterns included. There are a lot more patterns in this edition of the magazine than there usually are. I counted them up. There are 16 patterns in here, you guys. 16 patterns. 3 different shawls or wraps, 6 different sweaters, cardigans or tops, 3 hats, 1 pair of mitts, 2 pairs of socks and 1 cowl. I mean, that's incredible. And considering that this magazine is £9.50 to buy, if you just have the patterns, that's less than 60p per pattern. And that's not including all of the articles and the recipe and all of that goodness as well. I think it's incredibly good value for money. So just on that, you should buy it. But let me talk you through some of the patterns in here. Every single one of them is featuring both yarn and a designer that I've worked with Pom Pom in the past. It's kind of like a big group of friends all coming back for a reunion, but there are some particular patterns in here that just make my heart sing. The first of those is Anniversaire, which is by Vera Valimaki, and it's knit in La Bien Aimée Merino DK. And it is this incredible cardigan. I want this so much. I love it. This colour is glorious. It's this beautiful cabled honeycomb amazingness. And I mean, just look at the photographs in this. Just look at them. They're amazing. The next pattern that really caught my eye is by Linda Dubeck with yarn support from the Fibre Company. It's their Cumbria fingering base and it's called Bash. It's this beautiful colourwork hat. And if I'm perfectly honest, I want this in this exact colourway. I think it's gorgeous. I love the fact that there's a lot of contrast between the more kind of blue colours and then that little pop of golden mustardy yellow is just making me so happy with the pom-pom. Pom-poms for pom-pom, obviously. The next pattern that I love, and I know that I am not alone in absolutely adoring this pattern, is Soiree by Emily Foden. The yarn is it's double held yarn. It's the Viola, Polworth and alpaca and their mohair lace, and it's this gorgeous jumper. Oh, it's oversized and lovely. It has this incredible detailing in the underarm area with cables, and I'm obsessed. Again, stunning photography. This just looks like such a lovely, comfy, slouchy jumper. And I want one. I want one so much. There are 2 more patterns that really, really caught my eye in here. But I should say every single pattern in here is stunning, and I will include a link to the Ravelry page for this edition down below so that you can check out everything, because these mentions are just my own personal preferences, but I really do think I could be happy knitting pretty much any pattern out of this book. These are just the stars as far as I'm concerned. The next 2 are not garments, they are accessories, but they are beautiful. First up is Bon Bon by Joji Locatelli, and the yarn is Quince & Co. Phoebe. The Bon Bon mitts. Ah, I love them. They're adorable. And again, pom-poms, pom-poms for pom-pom. My other personal pick in terms of patterns is a really, really fun pair of socks. They're called Knees Up. I love the styling of this pattern. Look, tartan skirt, boots, big squidgy socks. But the thing that I love about this pattern is that it's a really interesting combination of yarns. The pattern is by Juju Vale, and the yarn support that comes from the Uncommon thread, but it's also 2 different weights of yarn. So it has their BFL Light DK and their smooth sock coming together for 1 pair of socks. So the idea is you knit the foot of the sock in the lighter weight yarn, and then the big slouchy gorgeous bit at the top, which you can see peeking out of these boots, is knit in the light DK. So basically you have nice fitted socks on the bottom and then these really big slouchy squidgy bits on the top. Those are the patterns that really, really speak to me personally. And when I say speak to me, I mean that I would very, very happily cast every single one of those projects on right now, today, if I had the ability to do that. Reading this edition of Pom Pom, and granted it's a very, very special one because it's their anniversary issue, but it has reminded me just how much love and care goes into every single edition of this magazine, and there is a reason why it has such a huge following within the knitting community. You can tell from every single page so much love and time has been poured into this magazine, and I'm in love. I'm totally in love, so much so that I have ordered the anniversary edition of volume 1. They've re-released volume 1 and kind of revamped everything, and I am hoping to sign up for a subscription really soon, and that is genuinely just coming from me. Although the guys, the lovely ladies of Pom Pom, did send this to me to review, all of my opinions and my thoughts are my own, but genuinely reading this and having this, I'm so impressed that I am most likely going to be getting myself a subscription. So big thumbs up, get yourself a copy, and there really are no words for how awesome it is. Just plain awesome. The other amazing thing that is going on with Pom Pom Mag to celebrate their birthday is Pomfest! Pomfest, 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 which is going to go on Friday the 14th and Saturday the 15th of July. And tickets have been on sale online for a little while, and it's very exciting. There's going to be a marketplace, there's going to be lots of guest speakers. They are also hosting Pomcast Live. In case you don't know, Pom Pom Magazine also has a podcast, audio podcast called Pomcast, which I do listen to. I think it's great, but they will be doing a kind of live version of that in the evening. I will be attending on the Friday. I'm very excited. They've just released a vendor list online as well, and it's going to be magical. So I would very much recommend that you come along, and if you come on Friday, do please feel free to say hi if you see me. But can you guess what the amazing giveaway is the incredibly generous Pom Pom ladies have allowed me to do on this podcast? I am giving away a pair of tickets to come to Pomfest. And you can pick which day you want to go. You can come on the Friday, you can come on the Saturday. I'm so excited. I think you should be too. I'm going to be opening a thread in my Ravelry group all about this giveaway. All you have to do is hit subscribe on this podcast, go over and join the Ravelry group, and then tell me about which pattern in this edition, this glorious anniversary edition of Pom Pom, which pattern you love and why. Because genuinely, once you have a look at all of them, you're going to love them. It's an incredible selection of patterns, and I will be letting the winner know next week. You can decide, like I said, to come to either Friday or Saturday to Pomfest. Unfortunately, these tickets are not for the Pomcast evening. This is just for the daytime. And guys, you need to get involved in this giveaway. Yay! Pom Pom Love! I am a little bit overexcited. So I think it's probably a good thing that I'm actually going to be handing over now to Katie of the past for the final section of the podcast. Because yes, I'm happy to say that for the first time in a little while, my lovely husband Emrys is going to be making an appearance on the podcast. We have filmed our lovely General Waffle segment, talking all about some movies that we've seen. So I'm going to be handing over to those guys now, and believe it or not, there may also be a featured performance from Rolly the Pug. So I hope you enjoy, and through the magic of video editing, let me pass you over to Katie and Emrys of the past. Hi! Oh, someone's wriggly. Welcome back, guys, to another General Waffle. General Waffle. We both look a little bit spaced out and pale. It's because the light is particularly blinding, and it's also quite late in the day, and I think that we're both a little bit tired. For those of you who don't know him, this is my gorgeous husband Emrys, and this little scraggle is our baby boy. This is Rolly the Pug. We've been to see loads of films recently, as we like to do from time to time on the General Waffle. We thought we would talk to you about these films that we've seen recently. We will just say before we start, as we always do, there will be spoilers involved in this discussion. you know, we've been to see the films. If you don't want to hear about what they're about or what's going on, I always put down which films we're going to be talking about in the show notes down below. So maybe just fast forward past the ones that you're not interested in hearing about. But first of all, what film did we go and see, Mr. Matthews?
The Belko Experiment.
The Belko Experiment. This is an interesting one because whenever I was telling people I was going to see the Belko Experiment, very few people had actually heard of this film. In basic terms, it's kind of a battle royale / Hunger Games kind of fight to the death concept.
In an office.
In an office block. Lots of people turn up to work at their regular job in the morning within this massive office building. The office then goes into lockdown and they are instructed to do various things or there will be consequences. And that is the kind of idea of the film. This is entirely my kind of film. I knew that I would enjoy this film just from watching the trailer because the trailer was very, very well put together.
I would say other films in this category, like Battle Royale and like Hunger Games.
Oh, bye, Rolly.
Okay, bye, Rolly.
Bye, Rolly.
Are films that are trying to say something deep and meaningful about the human condition. This film is not, and it is unashamedly not.
I don't think it says anything new or different or clever. That is not the point of this film. But my goodness, is it entertaining. One thing I would say, you're not going to be a fan of this film if you're in any way averse to bloody violence.
There's a lot of violence.
There's a lot of relatively graphic violence. There's also some really quite distressing scenes when multiple people are just being kind of shot point blank, which was, you know, not something that I would say I really enjoyed watching, but I think the way that it was shot was incredible. And the actor who plays the main character looks like Emrys, which for me is always going to make me like the film more.
I think that one of the smartest things about this film is the way that it's been cast, and it's just like you said when we came out of it, because there are so many characters. They've effectively taken great character actors from TV shows that you probably will have seen, so that you will really remember these characters and you'll relate to them, and it makes you feel like you already know them because you don't get much time to get to know most of them.
I wouldn't say that this film is anything special, like I said, or does anything different, but everything that it does do, it does to an incredibly high standard. The acting is incredible, the film quality is incredible, even the soundscape of this film is incredible, and
it keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it does anything new, but it doesn't do what you expect. And
I was just entertained from start to finish. There was never a moment when I was bored, never a moment when I was disappointed, which is definitely something that's been a kind of a reoccurring theme with a lot of films that I've watched recently. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It
does well with what I like to call the expectations game, which is everything in film. What would you give it out of 5?
4.
I would also give it 4.
Hey!
Consistent. The next film we went to see was quite a different film, and it was called Their Finest.
Their Finest, starring one of my favourite actors of all time.
Bill Nye.
Yeah, I love Bill Nye so much. Also starring, is it Gemma Arterton? Is it Arterton or is it Atherton?
Arterton.
Arterton.
Yeah.
I always get that wrong. Gemma Arterton, who I think, again, is an incredible actor. I'm a very big fan of hers. I think she's very, very talented.
A former secretary newly appointed as a scriptwriter for propaganda films joins the cast and crew of a major production whilst the Blitz rages around them.
Obviously, World War II is going on. All of the young, able-bodied men have been sent off to war to fight, and the film industry was still very much a very big thing because it was being used for propaganda, both kind of anti-enemy propaganda and pro-Britain as this indestructible nation. So in order to keep that, you know, that wheel going round, people who wouldn't necessarily be put into these jobs normally were being put into them. So in particular, it's very much about a woman taking a role of a scriptwriter. Very, very feminist, I thought, in terms of being pro-equality, pro-equal opportunities for women, pro-equal treatment for women, and also very pro-acknowledging that you don't necessarily get to a certain age and then you are less worthy than the younger people around you, which is very much what Bill Nighy's character represented.
It's definitely a film for all those people that didn't go to war, and still the massive positive impact that they had on what was happening during wartime.
And I think this was a very interesting take on a time period that I feel very familiar with. I think it took quite a different route. Yeah,
it took a different angle on the time period that we're probably all very familiar with, but it really did present a different story, and a story we haven't had before. It's quite a gentle movie, you know. It's quite slow moving until the end, when it suddenly everything kind of moves really quickly. I think my favourite part of this film is, and this isn't really very spoilery, at the end of the film when she goes to the cinema to see the film that she wrote, and everyone just loves it, and they're so connected to it, and they're so emotional. And I think that moment of just her being rewarded for the work she's done, you feel really rewarded because you've gone on that journey with her.
It has a dog in it too. It has a couple of dogs.
So what would you give it out of 5?
I would give it 3 out of 5. A good solid 3.
I will also give it a 3. Rewatchability is probably a little bit lower. I think the first time you see it, it is really impactful. And it does shock you and surprise you and take you on this great journey. But I don't know how much I would enjoy that for a second time. And finally, the third film we saw was, of course,
Alien Covenant.
Where to start?
I'm going to tell you about Alien a little bit, about my relationship with Alien. Okay. It's one of my favourite films of all time, the original Alien film. I love Ripley. I love the fact that it has Ian Holm in it, because I love Ian Holm. I love the fact that it has, what was the other guy?
John Hurt.
John Hurt.
And of course a big part of that is that the role of Ripley was written for a man, but then obviously cast as a woman.
Yes, it's always what I talk about in terms of why writing for women should not be difficult, because the character of Ripley is a woman that was originally written as a man's role. All they did was literally just change the gender and cast Sigourney Weaver, and it's one of the best female roles that's ever been written, and the reason is because it was written for a man.
So let's not spend too much time talking about other films, but yes, Alien, a classic film. Aliens, also a very good film. Aliens 3, and what's the other one?
Alien Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection, also not good.
Okay.
This film is it an Aliens film, or is it a sequel to Prometheus, or is it another prequel to the Aliens?
As far as I'm concerned, there is a very, very big line between Prometheus and Alien. But I was excited about Alien Covenant. For one thing, it's the first new film in a while that actually uses the title Alien. So I was excited because I was thinking, it's gonna be another Alien film. It's not an Alien film. It's not. Do you know what this film is?
What?
It's an I Love Michael Fassbender film. The kind of idea behind Alien Covenant is that the synthetic from Prometheus, David,
played by Michael Fassbender.
It's something like 20 years after the original film,
something
like that, has landed on this planet, and his companion from the first film is just, oh, she just died. Just, you know, we're not going to talk about it that much, you know, for obvious reasons. And he's decided that he wants to play God, and that the whole point is that he was created by man and he now wants to create something himself. So he takes the bacteria that was from the original Prometheus film, infects a whole load of weird things with it, loads of different creatures, and starts building animals that are kind of like alien but not. But then he realizes that if he messes about with them genetically in his Michelangelo looking workshop, that he can build Alien.
So he's the one who creates Alien.
I don't
Spoilers.
believe it. No, I refuse to have Alien be cremated? Be created by Michael Fassbender in a Michelangelo-style workshop in a cave. Where's his laboratory? I'm sorry, he's doing genetic modification on this alien. And he's doing it in, like, they've got skeletons hanging from the ceiling. And
if there wasn't enough Michael Fassbender in this film for you already, there's also another synthetic android, whatever it is.
Same kind of model, I think. I genuinely think that Ridley Scott is in love with Michael Fassbender and just wanted him to do all of this weird stuff in this film, and he was sitting there the whole time going, oh, I just love Michael Fassbender.
And also there's a scene where Michael Fassbender loves Michael Fassbender. Literally, they actually kiss each other. And when we were watching it in the cinema, two guys got up and left the cinema at that point.
And to be perfectly honest, if the rest of this film, which was not great, didn't already make you want to leave, why on earth did watching Michael Fassbender kiss himself make you leave? I was a step away from going and having words with them, wasn't I? I was so mad. There are certain horror films and kind of iconic films that I really, really love that do things in an incredibly classy way. And Alien is definitely up there in terms of setting the bar, in terms of how these type of movies can affect you really, really deeply, but also be just an incredible movie in the same way. My problem with Alien Covenant is my issue with the David storyline, I think, by far overshadows everything to do with Alien. And if you're going to see an Alien film, you're going to see an Alien film. You don't want to know about David's God complex. I feel like that should have been a film on its own if you wanted to create this character and do stuff with it. It just doesn't interest me at all. And I also feel like it was an apology for Prometheus, considering the amount of bad press that Prometheus ended up getting. It was almost Ridley Scott pandering to the audience who didn't like that film.
I think the Alien films in their original form were scary because they were something that you'd never seen before. You've seen them before now, so this isn't scary, it's just gratuitous.
There's a completely unnecessary shower scene that involves an amorous couple in a shower who then Alien turns up. I mean, it goes so far as to have a shot of both their feet in the shower and then Alien's tail kind of snakes its way through in a sexy little way before he kills them quite graphically. And I just thought, there is no point. I genuinely felt at that point was when I went, oh, so they were like, okay, so we've had death, we haven't had nudity. We need to put that on the list. So let's just put this, just so that we've, you know, ticked that box. The more I talk about it, the more frustrated that I get and the more I just actively dislike it.
If I had to sum this film up, I would say this is a prequel to a yet unreleased, unwritten prequel to Alien, and it is the origin story of Alien that nobody wanted.
It's not what I wanted. I think if you are an Alien fan, you should go and see the film and then watch Alien again, just to remind you how good Alien is.
What would you give it out of 5?
I'm so, do you know what? That 1 star is based on my fandom more than anything else, because I was looking forward to this film. You know, I was looking forward to this film more than any other film. I've been waiting for it for months. I've been just dying to see it, and I was so disappointed and so let down, and I feel that Ridley Scott is not treating the film that I love with any form of respect. I genuinely think if you don't know the franchise that well, or if you come to it, you know, after just seeing Prometheus, you probably wouldn't have as many issues with it as I do. But as I said, Ridley Scott himself made Alien. If he can do that, why is he doing this? It just makes no sense to me.
I'm going to give it 2 stars. I didn't like it that much either, but I did think it posed some interesting questions about artificial reality. I didn't necessarily like the origin of Alien, but I thought that stuff was...
I don't believe it.
Not badly handled.
That's not how Alien was created as far as I'm concerned.
So if you're thinking about going to see a summer blockbuster film, you should probably go and see Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Rolly's back! Say hi, Rolly.
Hi, Rolly.
Hello. Thank you so much for listening to us waffle on about movies again, you guys.
We have to say General Waffle again.
No, I didn't say General Waffle on, I just said waffle.
No, I know, but don't you usually end it by saying General Waffle
No, I just do that because you like saying it.
Can we do it?
Thank you for joining us for another General Waffle. General Waffle.
Sorry.
Rolly punched me in the face.
Can we try that again?
Yeah. General Waffle. Thank you for coming and spending some time with me again.
You are very welcome.
Oh, Rolly. But for now, we are sending you huge amounts of love and pug hugs. I hope you all have an incredible week filled with loads of movies and sewing and knitting and all of the good crafty stuff. Rolly, you gonna say bye-bye? Bye, guys!